you're watching on a replay, comment replay and let me know that you're watching. I'm just getting my charger to make sure that my battery doesn't run out, you know. That's a nice angle, isn't it? Look at that. You can see up my nose. Okay, yeah, so if you're watching on a replay, please comment replay, let me know that you're watching. I wanted to hop on here. I had a podcast appearance. I was a guest speaker on a podcast, getting back into it earlier. And I had a realisation come through because we were talking... we were talking about wealth. And in the conversation... the numbers are staggering when it comes to the wealth gap. Have you ever looked into it? Because if you haven't, I'm going to tell you the numbers right now. 1% of the population own around 50% of global wealth. And around 50% of the global wealth... around 1 to 2% of the global wealth is allocated to 50% of the population. Yeah? 1% of the population own 50% of the global wealth, and 50% of the population own 1 to 2% of the global wealth. That's staggering, it's disgusting, it makes me feel sick, and if I'm completely honest with you, I feel really fucking angry over it because of the way that we have been conditioned into lack, scarcity and fear, as well as competition, so it keeps us away from one another, and we've been conditioned in a way to spend our money with big corporations. So what that actually does is that feeds the money up into this 1%, and this is why the gap's widening. And there's various different aspects to it, but that's a huge part of it, right? Part when I was having this conversation earlier, I had a ding go on in my head because a huge part of what we're doing in the wealth frequency shift. Hello, Christian. I hope you're well. I'm sending you love. A huge part of what we're doing in the wealth frequency shift is coming together within conscious community to close the wealth gap and create wealth together so we can ultimately create the resource, because that's all money is, it's resource, yeah? It's resource to be able to direct it towards the things that we're interested in. So for instance, I've just come back from a dear sister of mine. She's got a lotus farm and she wants to expand. Now, if I was in a place to be able to invest right now, I'd invest like that and expand, because blue lotus flower is really supportive for our systems. Hello, Lex. I hope you're well. I'm sending you love. So, by the way, if you have any questions in respects to what I'm saying, please comment, because I really love to engage and talk about this subject with you. It's not just me talking to you, although I can just talk. But if you want to say anything, please do. So I've just come back from her farm and I will be investing. However, right now I'm not in a position to. And this is the beautiful thing of having money, because it allows us the resource to be able to invest in what it is that we want. And what better way than supporting one another come together to create that income and ultimately create that resource, so we can distribute the money in the ways that we desire to create a more regenerative world and regenerative community, rather than what it currently is, which is extractive. And this is what the 1% are doing. They're destroying the world. They're extracting from people. They're extracting from the earth. They don't give a shit about what's going on in the world. They just care about their pockets and money and status and whatever fucking dark shit that they're doing. And the way that we start to take back our power is first and foremost reclaiming our energy and being very aware of where we're focusing our energy and where we're putting our attention and where we're placing ourselves and what we're consuming. That's a huge part. And then the second part is creating massive wealth. So we start to close that wealth gap and we start to redistribute the wealth within communities, within ways that are beneficial for the world. And I had this realization earlier in this conversation of, because I talk about this, about building in communities. I had this realization earlier of that 1%, that's their little community, that's their little club. They're investing in themselves. They're investing in themselves, they're investing in each other's companies, they're investing in whatever the fuck, right? And that's also why the wealth is circulating between them, because first and foremost, we've been conditioned in a way to be against each other, to not trust each other, to not go local, to not circulate within communities, to not support one another. It's crazy for me. Why are we not supporting our friends? Why are we not happy for our friends who are being successful? And this doesn't even just stem down to money. This stems down to people that are starting their business and creating content. You know how many lurkers I have on my social media that are quote unquote friends that never engage, that never comment, they just watch. And then it makes me wonder, okay, well, why are you watching, you know? And that's not even spending money. So if they're not even putting energy into a like or engagement, like that's not even going to happen with investing in businesses. So how are we ever going to grow as a community and as a collective if we're not even supporting one another? It makes no fucking sense to me. And we've been conditioned in this way. So there's no blame, there's no judgment. We've been conditioned in a way of lack and scarcity and fear and competition and going against one another. So I completely get it. However, we must do the work internally to reprogram ourselves so we start to trust one another, so we start to collaborate and co-create and build a better future together. This is what it's about. We can't build a better future on our own. We can't do this on our own. We must come together in the ways of, okay, well, this is what I'm strong at. This is what I'm good at. This is what I can teach. This is what I can offer. This is what I can do. This is how I can lead. And everyone's a different leader in their own right. Everyone's a different leader. Some are more forefront facing, like myself. I'm happy to get up and talk and get on stage. Some are more silent leaders. They like to be in the background and create systems and organise and do all of that stuff. We're all leaders in our own right. And people that think they're not leaders, it's just because they've been conditioned and trained to be followers. And the majority of people have been. They've been conditioned and trained to be weak followers. And that might trigger some people, but that's just the fact of the matter. Sometimes the truth hurts. And I always say the truth because I love you and I want the best for you. And hopefully my frequency shifts something in you. And if it doesn't, you're triggered and you'll probably unfollow me and go away. And that's okay as well, because I'm just not your frequency if that's the case, right? So it's really important that we do this internal work. So we stop competing and looking at one another like, and ignoring our shadows. Because when someone's fully in their power, when someone's shining their light bright, when someone's anchored, when someone's convicted, and when someone's shining, that's inevitably going to cast shadows on other people. And then the person that the shadows cast on, what they can either do is they can either point fingers and blame and project and say, oh, it's them, meh, 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 rather than actually looking at themselves and saying, okay, I notice this discordance within me. I notice this disharmony within me. Hello, Sarah. I hope you're well. I'm sending you love. I notice this discordance and this disharmony within me, and they have activated it, which is great. It's great medicine. They're a great mirror, but it's not them. It's me, because no one can make us feel a certain way but us, because whatever's coming up inside of us, whatever's activated it, whoever's triggered it, they've played a really beautiful role in our evolution when we choose to look at it that way, and when we choose to be with ourselves and be with the feeling and notice, okay, why is this creating this within me? Where is this coming from? What gets to be alchemized and transmuted? So if something of a similar nature presents itself in the future, the charge won't be as strong, or it will just be neutral and it just won't bother me so much, right? And this is where the work is, and this is how we create harmony and symbiosis within our communities, is by looking in the mirror of life, looking in the mirror of relationships, and doing this work, which is essentially what I teach in any which way that you choose to work with me, whether or not you choose to lead yourself through the ecosystem that I've created, or whether you choose to work with me one-on-one, and there's various different options for that. But essentially, the way that we stop the shit and the struggle that we're experiencing in some which way or another is by coming together and supporting one another. Is instead of investing or spending our money in big corporations that are funding wars, that are funding dark shit, start putting it into people that actually care about creating a better future for us, and start aligning with communities that are doing good things around the world. Because this isn't just about us. This is about our children. And it's our responsibility to leave the world in a better place for our children. That's it. Because if we don't, they're just going to inherit a pile of shit. Why are we bringing children into the world if we're just going to give them a pile of shit? That's not fair, you know? So we get to do this together. We get to do this within community. You're not alone. We're not alone. You know, if you align with me, great. Come and have a chat. There's links in my bio. You can look around. And if you don't align with me, that's also absolutely fine. Go and find someone that you align with and join a grander, greater mission where you can come back to the power and the trust within yourself, and where you can find and land into, if you haven't already, your own unique mission and purpose as to why you've come to this planet. Because